Did you know that 5 out of 10 owner-operator truck drivers fail within the first 3 years? Well, in this video, we're going to tell you why the trucking industry has gone bankrupt in the U.S.
Stick around to the end of the video. We're going to tell you 5 reasons why owner-operator truck drivers fail. You know, in 2020, there was a shortage of truck drivers because of the pandemic. Glory, remember when this was happening? We were all on lockdown, not able to go outside. So instead of going to restaurants and going out to eat, we actually started staying at home, ordering stuff off of Amazon. So it drove the supply and demand crazy.
No one would have never imagined, Marvin, that we went through a whole pandemic and everything was shut down. So it gave people more time to think about, what kind of business they wanted to start. And not to mention all the government money that was put out on the streets.
Yeah, because of the SBA, it started more small businesses than ever in history. And you know what? I had friends and family that had never drove a truck before. Now they wanted to be in the trucking business because the demand was so high.
Yeah, Marvin. Actually, we have a few friends that, they started off with 1 truck, then they went up to 3 trucks, and the next time I spoke with them, they had 4 trucks. So this right here caused a shift in the trucking industry. We went from 240,000 trucks on the streets to 475,000 trucks on the streets. And guess what? That cost us to go up 96% in the trucking industry.
So Gloria, let's jump right into these reasons. Reason number 1, most truckers, because of inexperience, they pay too much for the trucks. You don't even have to have a degree or certification to be an owner of a trucking company. You can have a high school degree, you could be a felon. The barrier of entry is very low to own a trucking company. So I believe inexperience leads to paying too much for trucks.
I can most definitely see that because some of our friends and family, they didn't have any experience when they started this trucking company. They just saw an opportunity. People on Instagram, all over social media, talking about how they're making all of this money in the trucking industry. So it made people want to start their own business and go into the trucking industry because it's one of the easiest industries to jump into.
And the average truck driver pays $25,000 too much for their truck. So at the beginning of starting your trucking company, you're already at a deficit.
Now let's jump right into reason number 2, not having an auxiliary power supply. Now what this does is that means that all of your power will continue to work while you turn your truck off. A lot of inexperienced operators have purchased trucks that don't have this, and then it causes them to have to keep their truck running while they're taking a nap or they're sleeping.
Yeah, because think about it. You're driving the truck all day, 10 or 11 hours. Then another 10 or 11 hours you're idling because you're trying to get some rest and sleep. And guess what? You're killing the life of that truck. You're going to spend thousands of dollars in repairs and all kinds of diesel because every hour that you keep that truck on, you're burning a gallon of diesel. That's going to add up over time.
Most definitely, Marvin. And a lot of these owner-operator truck drivers, when they went into the business, they decided to get rid of their homes.
Yeah.
They decided to get rid of the extra weight, and they feel like that they can sleep inside their truck. But if they don't have this power pack, that causes you to have to keep your truck running.
Right.
Causes all the electricity that you need inside the truck. Your heat and things to that nature has to be turned on. So you have to keep the truck running in order to keep these things going on or have this pack.
So you may have to pay more for the auxiliary power on the truck in the beginning, but it's going to save you thousands over time.
Okay, let's jump right into reason number 3, poor financing, Marvin.
Yeah.
You never should go with the in-house financing. We tell some of our students this all the time when they go to the dealership to purchase a car.
Yeah.
The dealership is going to make all the money because they're not only charge you the price of the car and add additional money on top of that, they're also going to charge you points on the back end. So they're making double money. So you never want to use in-house financing.
You're right. And in our webinar, we teach people the 3 steps to actually building business credit and being able to build your credit so you can buy and get a great interest rate. You don't want to start off with 20%, 18% interest rates. You want to get the best rates you can because when you're paying all of this money for a semi truck, this is going to cost you for years. So getting the right kind of financing in the beginning helps you out. Like they always told me, you make your money when you buy, not when you sell. And speaking of selling, most truck drivers can't even sell their trucks. They're buying trucks for $80,000, and right now the resale value is about $30,000 for that same truck.
So it's a trickle down effect.
Yeah.
It's not only affecting the truck drivers, it's also affecting the finance company, because a lot of these trucks, they're sending them right back to the dealership.
Yeah, because most people can't afford it. I have family that started off, young guys trying to build a future for themselves. But when you have a house, you got a semi truck, you got a pickup truck, you got kids, it's a lot of expenses. It's not even counting credit card debt. So make sure, if you're in the trucking industry, watch your debt. Make sure you don't have too many extra vehicles, because look, you're spending 28 days in a semi truck. When do you have time to drive these other vehicles?
People are spending a lot of times in these trucks. They're not only losing their homes and their cars, but they're also losing their family in the process, their wives. You know, there has been a lot of divorce going on just because of the trucking industry. It's like a trickle down effect, like I stated before. We have to be very careful and make sure that we're buying right.
Correct.
Reason number 4, poor money management. You have to be able to manage your money correctly when you're looking at being a truck driver. You know, we just actually watched a couple who lived in their truck, and one of the things that they did was they sat around for days in their truck until they found the right amount that they were being paid.
And I'm sure you truck drivers out there have seen guys that don't have a house. They live in their truck, and those are the people that grind it out and make it through the good times and the bad times. And like Gloria is saying about poor money management, put up money for a rainy day. In our webinar and our challenge, we talk about being able to set your business up so that you're counting all your expenses. Do you count the diesel, which is like the most expensive, you know, that you can't avoid? Then you got showers. Then you got food. I mean, it's a lot of things that you got to take into account for when you're spending money on the road and when you're spending money at home. Why have 2 or 3 vehicles? You may have to grind it out and have one vehicle at home because you're gone for 28 days at a time. Why keep paying notes on something that you're not driving?
This goes back to 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
What we talked about previously of why truck drivers are failing. All of these things goes back to money management when it comes to buying a truck right, having that auxiliary pack available for you. So all of these things play a role. So you have to make sure that you do your research. Whenever you're looking at jumping into an industry, don't just jump in feet first because you hear about all the money that people are making. You need to do a little bit more research and find out what are the do's and don'ts.
And I believe what happened to a lot of truck drivers, because the demand was so high and the supply chain was backed up during the pandemic, a lot of people got used to the big money coming in and nobody saved money for a rainy day. And you got to realize, Gloria, they were making like $4